What's going on, y'all? How's everybody been doing? How's everybody been doing? So right now, headed back to Atlanta, coming out of Kinston, North Carolina. So got probably about an hour and some change left until I get back to Atlanta. So this video here, we're gonna talk about how to transition, how to learn, basically how to learn Linehaul. Now, those of y'all that are new to the channel, I've been running Linehaul now for about maybe 4 years or so, close to it. Now, I came from another LTL carrier, so it's essentially, the same job, just different truck. But anyway, if you're somebody that's like brand new to Linehaul, maybe you're coming from maybe P&D, or you're just new to Linehaul or LTL altogether, it's going to be a challenge for you. Now, obviously, running at night, that's going to be a challenge. But another challenge that you might face is just learning the system, learning all the different terminals, learning all the different midpoints, or meet points, I should say. Learning the terminals. Now, of course, if you come from P&D, then of course you're going to have a slight advantage. You're going to already know the layout of your particular terminal. But if you're somebody that's brand new, you're not going to know that. Now, for instance, terminal I run out of, it's like 184, 186 doors. So needless to say, I run out of a pretty big terminal. We have freight that comes in, basically like relay freight that's going out. We have 2 outbound sections, 2 inbound. So if you're somebody that's brand new, or somebody that's never been to, my terminal, for example, you're not gonna have a clue on where to go. Now, the way my whole terminal is, based on the door that it's loaded on, that's the side it's going to be on. That's if, you don't get it hooked. Now, obviously, most of us hook our own set, so we're already going to know what door it's on. Now, let me give y'all a pro tip. It's a good idea to kind of learn what door or what city each door is on, because usually every night you're going to hook on the same door, assuming you're going to the same place. So, example, if I'm going to Kinston and Fayetteville, I'm going to already know that one of those trailers is going to be on door 57, and the other trailer might be out in the yard, or it might be on the very next door. So, you kind of learn those things. But it's also a good idea, like if you're going to a terminal, for the first time, you can either ask the hostler, because the hostler is going to know exactly where those trailers need to go. They're going to know where the inbound is, they're going to know where the outbound is, or whatever the case may be. Now, some terminals you go to in the office, they might have a map that tells you, okay, inbound is on maybe the south side of the building, the inbound is on this side, outbound's on this side, the empties are kept over here, the dollies are kept over there. So you get what I'm trying to say. It'll tell you. Now, you might go to other terminals where they may not have a layout, so you're just gonna have to figure it out. And again, going back to what I said, you could ask the hostler, ask another driver, because when you go to terminals, especially if you go to bigger terminals, like the terminal I run out of, or just a big terminal period, chances are there's going to be dozens of drivers on that yard at any given time. So it won't hurt you to flag somebody down and say, hey, where's the office? Or hey, where does this need to go? And that's why it's also a good idea too, is get numbers from different drivers. That way, excuse me, that way, they'll be able to help you out. Because chances are a lot of these drivers are going to have been to these terminals that you're going to for the first time. So they'll be able to tell you, okay, when you go here, you know, you need to park over here, or getting into this terminal, you know, you want to go through this gate. And speaking of gates, you know, some of these terminals, they might have multiple ways to get in. Like, for example, our Charlotte terminal, there's 3 different entrances, there's 3 different gates, 3 different ways that you can get in. Now, of course, if you're going there for the first time, you may not know to go in through this gate, or for example, this gate might be closed. So, you know, having somebody's number, they might be able to give you a heads up, like, hey, when you get to this terminal, this particular gate doesn't work. You're gonna have to call Central, have them open, or hey, you're gonna have to come in through the north entrance, you know, so things like that. So let's talk about midpoint. So if you're covering a midpoint, or if you're set on a midpoint, you know, it's always a good idea to exchange contact information with the driver that you're going to midpoint with. And those who don't know what a midpoint is, for my new people, a midpoint is basically a halfway. So for example, this week I've been covering the Kinston, so I lay down twice a week, but on Friday we midpoint. So we would meet in Columbia, which is basically like halfway between Atlanta and Kinston. So for example, on a run like that, we meet at a gas station. Now, a weird thing about this particular midpoint is we meet literally in front of the terminal. It's a BP right in front of the Columbia terminal. You literally see the terminal from there. But anyway, that's a perfect example. So having contact information comes in handy. You can also communicate, you know, trailer information. That way you already know, like, hey, I'm bringing you 2 Kinstons, or hey, I might be bringing you a Kinston and maybe a Fayetteville, and vice versa on his end. He can communicate like, hey, I got 2 Atlantas, or hey, just whatever the case may be. And also, you know, it comes in handy if you're running late, you know, you can communicate. And being though I run out of Atlanta, those of y'all that have been to Atlanta, y'all know it can be a challenge getting out of Atlanta. You know, you just never know what Atlanta's gonna give you on that particular day or on that particular night. But going back to these midpoints also, it'll help you know where exactly to meet, because you might go to a midpoint where there might be several other drivers from several other terminals at that same particular midpoint, you know. So having that number, you might be able to say like, hey, we meet in the fuel pumps, or hey, we meet on this end of this particular location, you know. So you get my point. It helps you communicate. But overall, guys, when you do line haul, once you get the hang of it, it's not hard. Now, obviously, if you don't have a set run, then of course you're gonna go to a lot of different terminals, and it might be hard to memorize, you know, the layouts of all these terminals, memorizing where to go for each midpoint, because each terminal, like I said earlier, they're all gonna be laid out. You know, you might go to a dark terminal that has maybe 40 doors, or you might go to a break bulk that has maybe 240 doors, you know. Now, of course, smaller terminals, it'll be easier, you know, to learn. You'll learn the layout. And if I didn't already say, usually when you go to smaller terminals, they might want you to put the trailers in the door. You might go to a dark terminal and you could be the only driver there, you know. And like I said, you might go to a break terminal where there's over 100 drivers in there. So the point is, each terminal is going to have a different scenario, and it's all going to play out differently. But that's why it's, like I said, it's a good idea to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask a hostler. Don't be afraid to call Central, to ask another driver. And yeah, the overall point of this video and the overall message is ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. All right, y'all, so this is the video of the morning. So as I always tell y'all, thank you to all of my day one subscribers. Thank you to all my new subscribers. Appreciate all y'all, and as I always tell y'all, y'all take it easy and y'all stay safe.